Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live stream.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I heard Kira giggle. I just broke instantly. Sorry, continue.
We had this all planned, guys, but it's all gone wrong. Go back to sleep, guys. Right, today, if you haven't guessed already, we are talking about While Guthix Sleeps and the rewards coming from the quest. We're going to answer your questions. Thank you, resident sleepers in the chat. So at the Summer Summit, we proposed remaking one of RuneScape's most iconic quests, While Guthix Sleeps, but with an old school twist. And it passed the poll. So last week we shared our ideas with you about the rewards, and we updated our blog based on your feedback. I am now joined by Mod Rice and Mod Kieran. Welcome, guys. How are you doing today? We'll start with you. Rice. How are you doing? How was your nap?
Doing well. Yeah, I got about 5 minutes of that before. Yeah, as I say, I cracked. I usually am good at keeping a straight face, but don't know what happened today. I'll do better next time, I promise. Yeah, good day.
Awesome. And Mod Kieran, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. I'm actually tired. I could have probably fallen asleep if I really wanted to. But no, I'm excited to talk about this quest. I remember doing While Guthix Sleeps on launch day, back when it first came out, which was amazing. So it's kind of crazy now to come full circle and be seeing it come to old school. I saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes last night. I really enjoyed that. It's a good time.
Awesome. Sounds like a great time. Right, so we're going to go through some announcements. I'm going to talk at chat for a bit, and then we will get into the questions. So exclamation mark game update to see our latest game update. This is the much anticipated combat rebalance changes. So elemental weaknesses to monkey room improvements. Find out what is changed with exclamation mark game update. Exclamation mark WGS will take you to the While Guthix Sleeps blog, so be sure to read all of that. But it will give you a lot of information about what we're talking about today, and we have recently updated the blog based on your feedback as well. Exclamation mark survey as well to fill out the survey for While Guthix Sleeps. Help inform us on how you feel about the rewards. Exclamation mark sailing will take you to the latest progress update on sailing if you're interested in that. And exclamation mark Discord will take you to the sailing Discord, because we're going to have a Discord stage for sailing tomorrow at 4:30. Right, with that all out of the way, I just want to reiterate some of the changes that we made to the blog based on your feedback, and then we will get to the questions with the lovely Mod Rice and Mod Kieran. So starting from the top, one of the biggest changes that we made was increasing the tier requirements of Firelight, Scorching Bow, and the Ignited Staff from 75 to 77. We got some feedback suggesting they should be higher to better reflect their strength. We have also, in a similar fashion, lowered the tier requirement of Burning Claws to 60 from 65. It better reflects our intention for them to sit between the Dragon Dagger and Dragon Claws. We're going to touch on that a bit more in the Q&A today. We had a couple of clarifications that we needed to make in the original blog, so we'd like to clarify for everyone. Scorching Bow uses arrows. It is not a charged weapon. The Ignited Staff does work with the Mark of Darkness, and we'd like to re-clarify that Firelight is made from combining a fully charged Arclight and a tormented synapse together. And then we talked a little bit in the blog about what our intentions were for both Arclight and Firelight. We still see them as both useful within the meta. Right, so with that all out of the way, we're going to start with some questions for the devs. So the first question is, can we talk more about why we decided to revisit While Guthix Sleeps, and why did we want to continue the long-term Mahjarrat storyline? Any of you can take this question.
Because the Mahjarrat is sick. that's the first. And players told us that too. So I'm not just memeing. The surveys we do, the annual surveys, we ask people what storylines they're interested in, and Mahjarrat always scored very well, so it's something we really wanted to do. But this is part of what we're building. You know, we've been building towards stuff. There's more stuff to come in future, I'm sure. But stuff like why we've done Defender of Varrock, we've done obviously Desert Treasure 2 last year, and that's part of the same storyline, and these are all coming together with future plans in the pipeline too.
Hell yeah. Rice, did you want to add anything to that?
No, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, if you've been like following, I think a lot of people are starting to realize that Old School actually has lore, and it has really cool lore, like really unique stuff, beyond the Mahjarrat as well. But the Mahjarrat is sort of like an interesting storyline that you don't see in other fantasy. So, we've been building it, and people obviously want to see it keep going. They're also just like, everybody loves While Guthix Sleeps. You ask people from back in the day, like, what's your favorite quest? And they're like, While Guthix Sleeps. So, why wouldn't we want to recapture that energy? Old School is in part about nostalgia. Let's revisit that nostalgia.
Cool, awesome. Speaking of lore, how close to the original quest are we going to be staying lore-wise? And do you anticipate there are going to be any major changes? So I had someone on Twitter ask if they'd still see Dragon High and Elite Black Armor coming from the original quests.
Yeah, so if you're a lorehound, you probably already know that DT2 and DOV have deviated slightly from what they did in RS3, which means that that does necessitate some changes to While Guthix Sleeps. But we're still following a lot of the same beats, and you'll still get... we are going to be handing out some equipment. Dagger High is still going to be from Laren's Keys, but we are going to be handing out some other equipment, and that includes the Elite Black Knight armor. So yeah, I don't want to give too much away because that's part of the fun, but you'll be seeing a lot of what you saw in While Guthix Sleeps, but it might be in a different context to account for the updated storyline.
Awesome. I realize I might have said that wrong. It's Dagon High. I probably said
High,
something
yeah.
wrong. Sorry. Kieran, did you want to add anything to that about lore and things like that?
Yeah, not massively. Just really that like most of these quests, we're bringing them up to 2024 old school standards. While Guthix Sleeps is an amazing quest, but there's some things we'd probably do differently now. Obviously, with the lore changes and different direction stuff Rice mentioned. So expect it to be very familiar, but with tweaks that makes it better for today.
Cool. Hope you guys are excited in chat. Okay, so let's talk a bit more about the rewards. So for someone that hasn't read the rewards blog, can we talk about at a very top level what sorts of rewards we are offering from the quests?
Yeah, sure. So we've got Demonbane rewards all across the board. Something to make your Demonbane spells better, our first Demonbane bow, and an upgrade for our current best Demonbane sword. And then sort of next to that, those are all tied to one same drop, the Tormented Synapse. And then next to that, we have the Burning Claws, which are positioned to be between the Dragon Dagger and the Dragon Claws, which is a topic I'm sure we'll get into later. But yeah, it's just sort of like, the way I see it is, when you progress your main hand stuff, you've got like, you go from Dragon Scimitar to Whip, maybe eventually you afford yourself a Fang, and your end goal is like the Scythe. And with special weapons, you don't really have that. You go DDS from some fairy for 30k, and then let me save up 100 mil for Dragon Claws. There's no in between step. So we'd quite like to have something there. We think there's space for it. It's probably not going to affect anyone. It's probably not going to affect the Dragon Claws. It's just going to be more stuff for people to get excited about on their way towards the Dragon Claws.
Great summary, really, really good. Hopefully people have read the blog, but we know that sometimes people just want a TLDR. Kieran, not sure if you wanted to add anything before we move on to the next question?
It's well covered.
Nope. All right. Perfect. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty, I guess. So I'm seeing some feedback in the chat, and I've seen it on socials, that some of the rewards, especially considering it comes from a Grandmaster quest, they feel it should be a bit better than what we're offering. Because they might feel that a tier 60 weapon, for example, or something that's niche against demons might not be, big enough for a Grandmaster quest reward. So, Rice, if you could talk a bit more about the intention behind these rewards, and more specifically focus on why we wanted to create those rewards. For example, a weapon that sits between Dragon Claws and the Dragon Dagger.
Yeah, sure. So I will say one of the things that I want to clarify is this is a Grandmaster quest, but it's mostly a Grandmaster quest in spirit. It was the first Grandmaster quest back in the day, and when Tormented Demons released, they were wild, right? They were totally new. They were so like interesting and different. That's not the case in old school. Tormented Demons are pushovers compared to the grand majority of the content we have in the game. If we put something in there that was like best in slot, half at too many places, if it weren't niche, and it came from an enemy that was as much of a pushover as the Tormented Demons are, it'd just feel bad. It would devalue the content that is challenging and that people have to work a lot harder to learn and master. So we don't really have the capacity to make high-end rewards from Tormented Demons without dramatically altering Tormented Demons, affecting the nostalgia of it. It is a Grandmaster quest, but it's probably one of the easier ones. It's not going to be anywhere near as Treasure 2. So that's part of the motivation, to make them sort of slightly more niche. And then for the Burning Claws, as I sort of mentioned, I think of it this way, like, a lot of people, they play the game a ton, but what if you have like 3 husbands, 4 wives, 17 full-time jobs, 3 part-time jobs? You get 7 minutes a day to play. Like, you can't be grinding out these mega rares for your upgrades. You need some motivation, a sliver of dopamine somewhere in between these 2 milestones. So that's who these rewards are for, really. It's for people who can't scrounge up 100 mil easily, right? Like, and even if you have 100 mil, a spec weapon isn't your first go-to. You're going to want to drop it on something else. So realistically, this is targeting people with banks who are like maybe between 500 mil on a bill. That's sort of the group that we're trying to target, and they do exist. Those people do exist. They don't go on Twitter as much, but they do exist.
I am shook by that comment, Bryce. The chat is absolutely shook by it as well. Someone said, "Can he see through my webcam?" It's so real. But great explanation there, Rice, and hopefully the chat agrees. Kieran, did you want to kind of add a bit on that, or weigh in?
Even within Grandmasters, there's a sort of spectrum from like low-end Grandmasters to the top end, and the requirements of While Guthix Sleeps aren't as extreme as the requirements on like Song of the Elves, for example. So, damn, it should have rewards in line with that. And Dragon Claws are basically up there as the best DPS spec weapon. They only require tier 60. I wouldn't read too much into the requirement. Yeah, they're 60 because they're a rubbish weapon by themselves. It's the spec that makes them special.
Awesome. Well, hopefully that tackled that concern, guys. Let us know if you have more questions in the chat about that topic. But we will move on to talking... Yep.
Sorry, can I quickly address, there have been a lot of people sort of saying that the aesthetics and the thematics of like Burning Claws are very cool, and they'd like to see something like that on Dragon Claws. Obviously, we can't offer like rewards in terms of like power upgrades, but if that's something that people would like to see, cosmetic upgrades are more on the table than power upgrades. So if you want your Dragon Claws to, I don't know, have a little fire animation on them when they spec, that we can talk about for sure.
It's on the table, boys. Let's go. That sounds really good. I do have a question, question number 7, so we will talk about that in a second. But yeah, let's talk about Burning Claws a little bit, and feel free to put your questions in the chat if you want to ask something to Mod Rice or Mod Kieran about the Burning Claws. But we saw some confusion on some of the calculations for Burning Claws. Very, very intricate. So Mod Rice, if you wouldn't mind explaining how much damage they are supposed to deal and how the roll accuracy works.
Yeah, so this worried me when we were going to go out with them, because I was looking at Dragon Claws and I was like, oh, we can sort of like tap into this. There's not many other weapons in the game that work like this. This is a fun thematic, and then I started looking at how they work, and I was like, how are we going to fit this in a blog? It's insane. So the way that Dragon Claws work is that they roll an accuracy check, and then if they pass that, they do a bunch of damage. If they fail that, they roll another accuracy check, kind of like the Fang. And if they pass that, they do a little bit less damage. And they do that 4 times. The Burning Claws will do 3 hits and roll 3 accuracy checks. But again, it's not like they're rolling an accuracy check for each thing. It's like, did I pass the first accuracy check? If I do, do my maximum damage. If I pass the second accuracy check, do slightly less damage, and if I pass the third accuracy check, do slightly less damage. And Dragon Claws, they scale between, the first one is 100 to 200% damage, the fourth one is 25 to 125% damage. The Burning Claws will scale between 175% damage and, I can't remember my spreadsheet now, but it's somewhere around, 175 to 75, and then 125 to 25, or something like that. In any case, there is a spreadsheet out there. I posted it on Twitter. I think you can type !claws to see the spreadsheet. It will download automatically. Make sure to look at my replied comment, because I corrupted one of the cells and you need to put a new equation in there. It doesn't matter. Just, you can have a look at it. You can put in your own equipment stats. You can put in enemy stats. You can see how they match up against the DDS and the claws. And you should hopefully find that they sit sort of nicely in the middle in terms of their damage output. So yeah, that's how they work. It's a bit confusing, but so are Dragon Claws. So just tapping into that.
Awesome, thank you, Rice. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen, there's a link to Rice's Twitter, and then click on that. You should find the spreadsheet. I think players love spreadsheets, so really good idea to give one of those. Kieran, I'm not sure if you want to add anything.
It's a terrible ad hoc spreadsheet. It's absolutely awful. It looks terrible. Sorry, go on.
I can't believe you've made it public. I take too much pride in my spreadsheets to put that out. To be fair, it's because I spend more time making the boxes colourful and making a nice table rather than going crazy with it. But I mean, you got all the numbers there. If people are interested, the spreadsheet should cover you as best as possible.
Perfect. Right, let's talk about the special attack roll. So I don't know if you already clarified this in your overall clarification, Rice, but to reaffirm, will the Burning Claws special attack roll against an opponent's /defense?
So this is something we talked about. I think Soulreaper Axe is the first weapon we've released where it actually checks your combat style before it applies the special attack damage or the special attack accuracy roll. And we sort of looked at it and we're like, why aren't we doing this in more places? Usually it's an animation thing, but we think we can sort of get around that with the art team are pretty good at creating crazy animations. You saw that with the Elder Maul. So we're thinking for the time being that it will be able to switch between slash and stab based on your attack style. So you'll be able to do both.
Awesome. Sounds really good. And then the next question is, did we consider using Burning Claws as an upgrade for the existing Dragon Claws and adding the burn effect, similar to how you would use Armadillo pieces to strengthen Masori armor? What was the thought process behind that?
Yeah, I think we definitely talked briefly about the idea of having it be an upgrade to the Dragon Claws, but it just didn't seem like the right thing to do. Like Dragon Claws, you have to master the Chambers of Xeric. With Burning Claws, or with Tormented Demons, it's like they're slightly more chill versions of demonic gorillas. Should they really be giving you an upgrade for this item that is incredibly hard to obtain? Probably not. I don't know. That's sort of the conclusion we came to.
Okay, but you did say the cosmetic option was still on the table if players wanted.
Yeah, if people are like, wow, Burning Claws sound cooler than Dragon Claws, we want our claws to burn, yeah, art can be rejigged, and the art team is fantastic, so we can maybe make these Bone Claws, and then we can have, you attach a Tormented Synapse to a Dragon Claws, doesn't do anything, just makes you do a little bit of fire when you attack. Yeah, sure, that's on the table. That's not a problem. It's more a concern of not wanting to release these really, really powerful upgrades from enemies that are just not demanding that much from the player. I mean, if we gave the Infernal Cape from, I don't know, killing chickens, it wouldn't make any sense. And so that's an extreme example, but it's effectively what we're getting at here.
That makes total sense. Thanks for clarifying, Rice. Right, I guess we've kind of covered most of the Burning Claws questions that I had. I don't know if chat, you guys have a specific question about Burning Claws that I've missed. We're kind of ahead on time for the Q&A, so we'll probably have time for chat questions if you guys want. I'm looking for questions specifically around the Burning Claws, if you guys have any. Someone said, what if the Burning Claws took the place of Dragon Claws as the best in slot spec weapon and replace Dragon Claws from Chambers of Derek, nerfing D-Claws in the process to compensate.
Whoa, that is a wild suggestion. Don't put it on Twitter, dude. Like they will rip you apart. But no, I think like we polled this, right? We polled should we move Dragon Claws back onto Tormented Demons, and there wasn't a definitive winner in that conversation, but there were enough people who were like no, and it was a reasonable enough like point of view of like, you know, they've been there for a long time, they're really really powerful. Don't move them, and that felt like it makes sense. And we're a community driven game, and when the community speaks, we listen.
Awesome, thanks for that response. What percentage spec will the Burning Claws use? This might already be in the blog, so I don't know if I just say check out the blog
It's 30.
for details. 30%. Right, I'm not seeing many other questions on the claws. Oh, so what swayed the team to stick with claws as a concept? Were there any other suggestions of like weapons, like a dual wield spec weapon?
Yeah, I mean the main motivation is I don't know if you've seen Tormented Demons. I guess there are a lot of people who have probably not seen them, but they have this really cool looking slash attack where they've got like these two claws and they rend down, and it just fits the demons so well, you know. And people say like, oh, you know, it could have been something else. But we do have other claws in the game. We, you know, I know nobody uses them, but like we have rune claws. We even have bronze claws. They are a weapon category, and we don't have that many of them. So, you know, it made sense to add one. Could it have been something else? Absolutely, it could have been. Could have been some crazy dual wielding thing. It could have been a new whip. It could have been anything. But we decided to go with claws because the demons have claws.
Awesome, thanks, Rice. I did see a couple of questions of how would the claws work. I just recommend you guys check out Rice's spreadsheet with exclamation mark. What was the exclamation mark again? Claws. Exclamation mark claws will take you to a spreadsheet where you can do your own calculations. So for now, I think we will move on to questions about Firelight. Right, so my next question. To make Firelight, we require a fully charged Arclight to be combined with a tormented synapse. Some people have pointed out that this could be frustrating if they have already used their Arclight and consumed charges. They're concerned about ChargeScape, something that I know you guys both published a Reddit thread on. Would love you to talk about that if you want to. So the question is, could consumed Arclight charges count towards upgrading the Arclight to a Firelight instead of needing to have a fully charged Arclight? Fun.
ChargeScape, everyone's favourite topic. Everyone loves ChargeScape. We love it too. We know there's obviously a lot of issues, and hence we've had that discussion, and we know we like that idea as well around spent charges counting, because I think the situation would end up, if it is the case, as said, that if you're going for the Firelight, you've got an Arclight ready to go. Maybe the Arclight's good for Tormented Demons, but you're going to feel this negative interaction of like, I don't want to use it because I'm going to spend those charges that I'm going to need again later, thus giving yourself that burden of going back to the Catacombs. So I think this is a sensible change to do. And we know there's a couple of issues with it actually. Firstly, it can't count the charges you've already used, right? So like, we're not tracking that right now. I don't believe we have a way to track that now. So if you've already used the 30 shards before today or before when this releases, they're not going to count. So you might want to hold on to them for now, until we do get these changes in or something along these lines. And the second thing is, we also know that a lot of people want this sort of system rolling out to more stuff. Obviously, that's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of time, and it's not necessarily something we're offering to do immediately, but it's something sort of on our minds for the future. And in fact, doing it for the Arclight might be a really good test case for sort of rolling this out, see how people respond to it, see if people are happy with it, and we're going to explore how it goes. I realise there's a bit of awkwardness with the fact it already exists, and people can spend charges today without it counting there. Anything to add, Rice?
No, yeah, I did some work on this in the game jam, and it resonated with a lot of people. I think, yeah, it's as you say. Let's do it for one thing. See if people absolutely love it and they make noise about it, then we can look at expanding it.
Awesome. So it's potential. There's potential there. Cool. Right, the next question is, we mentioned in our most recent blog update that we're open to having further uses for Ancient Shards. How do you feel about some of the recent player suggestions that we've seen for uses for those shards? So some people have suggested permanent teleport unlocks around the Catacombs instead of them being temporary. Other people have suggested they could be tradable for different various objects. Could we see something in a future poll regarding Ancient Shards and more uses for them?
I think. Sorry, do you want to go, Kieran, on this one?
I was gonna say, like, I think that it would be nice for them to have a use beyond just the teleporting thing. Personally, I think the teleport thing's fair, even if permanent, are somewhat underwhelming, right? Like, they're not massive deals. It doesn't take you that long to run around the Catacombs. Maybe one of them would be quite useful, but if you unlock them permanently, then you still have a stacking amount of shards, right? Once you've got the unlocks, you're still going to get shards and then have literally no use for them. Trading for Skatizo totems, maybe that's a good idea, but I feel like it's just going to buff how quickly you get access to Skatizos. And then you drop more shards from Skatizo and maybe constantly push into that. So I'm not sure. Obviously, you could balance that and get the cost right, and maybe that's fine. Like, a decent amount of shards equals a Skatizo totem piece, and maybe that's a reasonable enough thing. At least there's something. I'm even thinking maybe something as simple as, like, you could smash them for 1,000 prayer XP or something like that might be a reasonable way to go. Just give you a use for them if you're done with them. But yeah, I don't know if you had any other ideas, Rice, or any other thoughts on this feedback.
No, a lot of that stuff sounds good. I think as well, we maybe just need to, like, evaluate the teleport locations. Like, is it that teleporting is bad, or is it that we're teleporting people to useless places? Like, it's entirely possible the teleports are just bad because they're not in the right place. Maybe if we put them in better places, it'll be more lucrative. So, yeah, there's a lot to look at.
Cool. All right. I guess the devs are open to it, but just not sure what we would do, and it might be something that you see in a future poll. Not sure yet. Okay, so Project Rebalance talked about demons having a weakness to water. The new demon slaying sword is called Firelight. So what's the deal with that, and are we looking at changing that in light of that revelation?
I just want to say I saw this comment, and I saw that it suggested that we call it Sharklight, and shame on you for suggesting that. I think, put my Lorehound hat here, and it's actually Arclight is good against both Avernic and Abyssal demons, Chthonian demons, if you like, and fire is good against both, whereas water is only good against the Avernic demons. So actually, it makes more sense for it to be no. But realistically speaking, tormented demons are on fire. It just makes sense for them to drop a weapon that, or make weapons that set things on fire. Or that have fire on them, it's a very in the lore. It's described that the spell that affects the tormented demons is very unique. It, like, burns their flesh alive while simultaneously healing them. So even though the weapon is like a fire sword, that is just representative of. I won't spoil the name of the character, but it is representative of a unique spell. Of which fire is a component. So perhaps this Demonbane effect doesn't come from the fire itself, but from this unique spell.
Very good explanation, Mod Rice. I appreciate that. If you're looking for names, you can also call it Modlight, as other people have suggested, but I'm assuming we're sticking with Firelight, which is fine. I don't take it personally.
It kind of works. It's a modded Arclight. Modlight, I get it.
On that note, I don't know if you're comfortable asking, but, like, some people have suggested other names for Firelight. Like, they feel like it's underwhelming. Like, do you have any thoughts on the name itself?
Yeah, 100% agree. Don't know about you, Kieran.
Would you change the name if you could? Would you change the name of the
Why?
weapon?
We can, right? There's nothing stopping us. Can we not poll it as something else? God.
We are the only people who can change the name. We have the power. You can go into the code right now and change the name if it's not good enough. I think Firelight's quite a cool name, to be fair.
Yeah, fair enough.
What would you rather? Any
I
other
don't know,
better ideas?
I've not thought of anything, but I mean, I'm going to be honest. Firelight was like, initially we were just calling them the Demonbane weapon trifecta, and I looked at the blog and I was like, we should probably give them names. So I was like, all right, Firelight, Ignition Staff, Scorching Bow. That'll do for now. You know, we'll get back to it. But obviously people have noticed that that was done in a little bit of a rush.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll work.
Someone suggested the Amazon Fire Stick.
I saw Scorchlight as a suggestion, but there's loads of cool suggestions. I wonder if players would get upset if we did change it, or is that like a small thing? I don't know.
Hopefully
would you guys be upset if we changed it? Not saying we will change it, that is not commitment. But anyway,
the way to change it is just that you do an of name, so it's like the Sword of Burning Power, and it sounds cool suddenly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks for answering that, guys. Can we clarify if Firelight works on Duke, please?
Yeah, so Duke has Demonbane resistance, which means that he cuts down the amount of Demonbane bonuses that you get, but you still get Demonbane bonuses. And all that Firelight does is give you the same Demonbane bonuses you had before, but with slightly higher damage and quite a lot higher accuracy, relatively speaking, because it all gets amplified by 70%. So you can expect that Firelight will be very good at Duke, or at least in relation to the Arclight.
Awesome. Thanks so much for clarifying that. Will Firelight be storable in the Catacombs stash and interchangeably usable for the clue step?
Seems reasonable, yeah.
Awesome. Short and sweet. Is there any reason for removing Arclight's defensive stats from Firelight's budget?
I didn't even know it had defensive stats. We can put it back on. It's not a big deal. It's an oversight, I think.
Okay, cool. So that concludes the questions I have about Firelight. I don't know if you guys... We're pretty ahead of time, so I can take some chat questions if you're up for it, guys. What do you think? Yeah?
Give us some
okay,
questions.
let me check chat. Okay, chat. So if you have questions on Firelight, let us know. I'm going to try and see. Someone's asked, would Firelight be a light source?
Oh, God, I don't even know.
It's got light in the name. It has to be.
Can we do that?
Yes,
Are we
I
able
think
to
we
do
can, actually.
Oh,
But,
okay.
Come on, why is this your top request? There's a million options. I suppose, you do maybe need one to get down, right? But don't you need the blue lantern thing anyway to use the things?
You do, yeah, to use the creatures. But yeah, I guess if you're really struggling to get to Dorgesh Khan, and your bank space is limited, maybe if you're a bank space locked account, maybe actually, you know what? This is maybe. Did a UIM ask this question? Is it possible that it's useful for UIM?
I don't know. Possibly though.
Maybe that's it.
Maybe it
You
should
have
be
a question
a
about
warm
whether it's
item at Winter
storable for
Doctor.
UIM.
Yeah. Maybe it's a bunch of UIMs in the chat lurking, asking these crazy questions.
Okay. Any other questions, chat, about Firelight? Sorry, the chat is going really fast, so I'm struggling to actually see.
Can it light fires? It's kind of the name.
Is it going to be storable in the stash unit? Can you confirm?
Yes. Yeah. If it's the Arclight one in the current Catacombs, yeah, we'll make sure that it's storable there. Yeah.
Does the Firelight have charges of its own?
Firelight does not have charges. No, you'll be happy to hear.
Can I cook fish on it?
Yeah, the terrible thing is that you're saying all of these things, and I'm going, how am I going to find time to do all that stuff? Because I want to, right? I want it. This sounds hilarious. Maybe not fish, but Can you imagine that? Because I wonder if
Do
there'd
you
be a meta
think-
for that somewhere.
Oh, I've just lost the question. But somebody said, do you think Firelight will be better at Duke in comparison to the Scythe and Soulreaper Axe?
So this is sort of like a non sequitur of a question, because it's not that it doesn't need to be better, nor can it be better because of the whole like interaction with 5 and 4 tick attack cycles. If the Duke is on a 5 tick attack cycle, you lose every like 4th or 5th attack that you do with an Arclight. So it just becomes way worse than a 5 tick weapon. So they sort of exist in tandem. That said, it will not be better than the Scythe, but it will be better on the 4 tick phase, because every X amount of ticks you lose an attack on the Scythe. So it's a complement to the Scythe and the Soulreaper Axe for the phase of the fight where the attack speeds up. So yeah, don't worry about power creeping that, because it won't power creep it in that way.
Cool. Does the Tome of Fire add bonuses to Firelight?
No. Why would it?
Just straight up no.
No.
Okay.
I feel like we're
Does the
mucking.
fire on does the fire on Firelight count as an elemental attribute?
No. It's not. It doesn't do. It doesn't interact with the magic system, guys. That's the ignited stuff that interacts with the magic system. It's not the Firelight.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to move on to questions about the ignited staff and Scorching Bow now. I feel like chat is low-key trolling me with some of these questions, guys.
I think maybe that's the case.
Okay, next question. How do you feel about comparisons of the Scorching Bow to the Bow of Faerdhinen? I hope I pronounced that correctly. Where do you see the two sit together?
So Bow of Faerdhinen is useful in a lot of places across the game. I don't think it's best in slot many places. I think Leviathan maybe, but it's useful like pretty much everywhere. This bow is not. Like if you're going to do random Slayer tasks, you're still going to be using a blowpipe. This is specifically made for killing demons. One that most obviously comes to mind is Krill. It's not going to be as good as T-Bow, but T-Bow is a mega rare that costs, in the range of billions, and this is probably not going to cost that amount of money. So, it's a step in that direction. Maybe you're committed to getting the Zami pet, but you can't afford a T-Bow. You wouldn't buy Bow Foam Full Crystal, you'd buy this thing. And if we release more demons in the future that, interact with ranged, then you might use this. It might be good at Sire if you're looking to avoid taking damage for longer trips. There's a lot of places where it could be like niche useful, but that's basically it, right? It's better than both at its niches, and it's worse everywhere else.
Great summary, thank you, Rice. Kieran, not sure if you wanted to add anything or not necessarily.
Oh, we're good.
Well, I've actually realised I've got a category called Ignited Staff and Scorching Bow, but only one question relating to the Scorching Bow. So I'm going to ask chat, because we are ahead of time. We've got about 20 minutes plus left of this Q&A. If you have questions about the Scorching Bow, let us know in the chat. We have the devs here for about 20 minutes, so we can hound them with your questions. Make sure it's about the Scorching Bow. Right,
Does
and
the Scorching Bow cook fish?
Does it need arrows? So we actually clarified that in the blog clarification update table, and it does use arrows. Just trying to read through the questions that are not troll questions. If you guys see any, by the way, feel free to just call them out.
I don't have chat up.
Oh gosh.
What
So
does
someone
the
has,
staff autocast? Somebody said.
Yeah,
No, not quite on the
Demonbane
staff
spells. So people have been complaining for a while now that Demonbane spells exist to defeat demons, and yet they aren't used anywhere because demons generally have really high magic defense bonuses. And this should alleviate that. You're going to get massive accuracy bonuses between the doubling of the Mark of Darkness effects and the baseline accuracy bonuses that the Demonbane spells have. They're going to be really accurate. It's still a 5-tick weapon, so it makes it hard to compete with other styles. But, tormented demons, if you remember, they pray. Sometimes they will pray against your preferred style, and maybe at that point you'll want to use a Demonbane spell. Maybe Demonbane spells will be good at tormented demons. Hint, hint. So yeah, they'll be they'll make it better where it was struggling because of its accuracy. It's still fairly niche, but you know, it has its applications.
Thank you, Rice. Going back to the Scorching Bow, I don't know if this is a troll question or not, but someone has asked, can you use Barbarian Firemaking with the Scorching Bow? They highlighted it.
Don't you need a short bow for that? Is that right?
It's longbows. I think it actually is technically a longbow, so it should probably
no,
work.
Well, no, technically, you see, I didn't know this before we started to design it, but it's actually a compound bow. So weapons that have a 5-tick base attack speed, bows that have a 5-tick base attack speed are compound bows, whereas longbows have 6-tick and short bows have 4-tick. So I don't know if you could use compound bows to do Barbarian Firemaking. If you can, maybe the code will handle that. I don't know how the system's set up. Find out. So that's something to look forward to.
You can use your maple longbow to strike fire to logs, but you can use your flaming scorching bow. No. The answer's no.
No.
I've got no idea. That's something to be excited for.
Someone has asked, can the bow use dragon arrows? Yes, the answer is yes.
Just in case there's any ambiguity there as well, the 30% bonus to damage applies to the arrow damage as well. So if we release better arrows in the future, there's a chance that it would become, better in that regard as well.
Awesome. Okay, right. I will move on then. Ignited staff, if you have any questions, put them in the chat, but I'm going to finish off with some general questions. So, general question number 1. We increase the tier requirement for Demonbane weapons to better reflect their strength against demons. Does their smithing requirement also increase to match that or not?
Not the current intention, I don't think. They were never matching, though. They were 74, right? So 74 smithing, 74 fletching. So, yeah, I don't think we're intending to change it. It doesn't need to be perfectly matching. Most of the game doesn't work like that.
Cool. Are the demonic weapons and all of the rewards from them locked behind the quest? And will crafting them using the tradable tormented signups require quest completion first?
So the intention is, yes, to create the weapons. Obviously, you can go to the Grand Exchange and buy a synapse, but you will need to have completed While Guthix Sleeps to go and craft the weapon. I think that's fair enough, really. You want to get access to the weapon that's better than an Arclight. Great, now you go and do While Guthix Sleeps. You can create the upgrade. So you can buy it to skip the grind of Tormented Demons, but you can't buy it to skip the quest.
Thanks for clarifying, Kieran. Why did we go with 77 as the number for Demonbane weapons rather than like 78 like existing items in the game, like the Trident?
Stuff. I don't know. Is 78 like a tier? Does that mean that we can never make a weapon that's 77 because there are also already weapons that are 78? I don't really know. It's just a number.
It's just feeling. It's consistency, and it feels better to. I mean, for a while we never used any of the weird numbers, right? It was always like the 0s or the 5s, and we would be afraid to use the other ones. But like in theory, we could do 76, we could do 74. It does feel weird, but no, it's nice to have more unlocks. You already get some cool stuff at 78, so why not give yourself something at 77? Hell yeah, it's a nice level to get now.
Thanks, guys. And what are your thoughts on reducing the rune cost for Demonbane spells to make them more enticing for normal Slayer tasks?
So, my understanding is that they're actually cheap as chips. Like, if you have a Tome of Fire, or you have Fire runes, which are cheap as chips, it's a Soul rune. which is like 190 GP. I think that's cheaper than most spells. Might not be as cheap as arrows, but pretty cheap. I guess this might be like an Iron Man perspective thing, where soul runes are harder to come by. In which case, I don't know, train rune crafting.
Cool. Thanks for clarifying, Rice. And yeah, the chat is talking now about how much they want chips, and I feel the same. After this stream, we're gonna pop down the shops. So we do have some extra time, and we have some Twitch chat questions collected by the lovely Modyum behind the scenes. I'm just gonna go based on those questions, but if you have more, make sure to post them in the chat, and we'll try and get to them. So the first question here is, assuming the Firelight is a flaming sword, do you think players can recolor it with Clue Scroll Firelighters?
We've done it! We found a use for Firelighters! Thank you, whoever submitted this. They're finally not completely redundant cosmetic Firelight swords.
Well, hang on. Let's discuss this, because I feel like this is a seed of a great idea, but it needs to be nurtured into more. What if each Firelighter added one charge to the Firelight that allowed it to remain that color until the charge was expended? And so that way we have a constant sink for Firelighters, and we elevate the value of Firelighters. Medium clue scrolls become profitable to do again. Hard clue scrolls become profitable to do again. I'm thinking that this is the way that we do this. This might be the key to making clue scrolls profitable.
We stopped Chargescape, but now if you want your sword to look cool, Chargescape is back. I'd probably go for like you need like 100 Firelighters or something like that of a certain color. I guess you could probably do the bow and the staff as well.
Yeah,
but it's all an art question, honestly. It's probably not for launch, but I don't think this is a reasonable thing to. I don't think it's a bad idea to come back to. Unironically, it's a genuinely nice idea.
It's pretty funny. It's old school. It's like in the spirit of old school, I think. Yeah.
That is really sick. Thank you to whoever made that suggestion. We don't have your name, but it sounds like the devs are taking this really seriously. So good job.
We're not artists, we don't have to make them.
Yeah, exactly. Not my problem.
Okay, the next question is, will Scorching Weapons be double potent against Ice Demon on Chambers of Xeric?
My initial thing would be no, and I would appeal to the same logic from before. While they are on fire, the main thing here is that there is a special spell that affects tormented demons that is now affecting the weapons. And I guess the Ice Demon is a demon. Is the Ice Demon affected by Demonbane? It'll be affected by the Demonbane, which sort of like makes it, better. I don't know. It's not doing double damage or anything like that, I don't think.
Okay, thanks for clarifying, Rice. Which weapon are the mods personally looking forward to using on their personal accounts?
Burning Claws. I want the claws. They seem really cool. It'd be fun to have a different option for a spec weapon. And our Gim squad will appreciate it. I think we only have 2 pairs of claws. Regular Dragon Claws, that is.
So, for me, I can say that I've learned from Perilous Moons that playtesting my own content completely killed my desire to do it on my main account. So, I did Perilous Moons like last week for the first time. So, I don't know. I'll answer that question next year when I finally feel like doing them again. That's my answer.
Cool. My answer would be Firelight, just because there's a small chance we could get it renamed to my name, even though that's never going to happen, don't worry. But yeah, Firelight. Okay, Ignited Staff. Can we clarify if you can auto-cast Ice Barrage?
Cannot. It is only Arceus spells.
Cool. Can Ignited Staff double the duration of Mark of Darkness?
I thought about this, because Mark of Darkness is actually really annoying to use. If you've ever used it, I'm actually maybe one of the few people who has ever used this spell, and it's really annoying. Probably not for this, but just be reassured that I am aware of it, and it's reward space. Maybe next quest will have a reward that doubles the duration of Mark of Darkness by consuming twice the amount of runes. Who knows?
Awesome. Nice to hear that you considered it when you looked at creating this
It's a good
reward.
suggestion. It's a good suggestion.
Cool. This is a bit of a spicy one. I don't know if we can answer it, but roughly when do you think the quest might release? Feel free to say we can't really answer this, and then I'll just skip the question, because I'm not sure if we can make a commitment on the stream. But if we can, because we have Modkir in here, maybe.
We can't give a date right now, but summer is what we said on the summit stream, I believe. So do expect it in the next few months.
Cool. Thanks, and sorry for putting you on the spot, but yeah, summertime. Hopefully, you guys can experience the quest. Is DT2 going to be a requirement for While Guthix Sleeps?
No.
Awesome.
I think, yeah, they're all part of the same storyline, but they're sort of converging on a central point. So DT2 is happening separately to While Guthix Sleeps.
Cool. And is the burning damage on the claws only on the special or also on the standard melee attack?
Just on the special.
Thanks. Does the burning claws count as fire damage?
No. No, fire damage is only a thing in Magic, guys. Yeah, only in Magic. It's not a thing anywhere else.
Cool. So can you clarify why the claws have a higher stab bonus than slash?
Well, because we were doing the thing where you can sort of pick what style you use them on. Like, they're not as good as the claws. Maybe they can have their own like little niche for stab, kind of. That's it. You'll still be able to use them on
Pretty
slash.
pointy.
Yeah, they are. Claws are pointy, especially if you've seen the demonic. I almost call them tormented demonics. Tormented demons. They have like pointy claws. So yeah.
I'm not sure about the next question if I'm just misunderstanding, but someone has asked, will the claws make clan coffers hold more money? And I'm not sure how the two would be related. So I can skip that question, but
I don't think so.
I don't
hope
really
not.
follow or understand.
that is chat trolling me once again, guys. Please. Okay, the next question. How does the damage of Burning Claws compare to the Crystal Hally on enemies bigger than 3x3?
I haven't done those calcs, you know. I would expect that Burning Claws are way more reliable than Sea Hally, because Sea Hally rolls a bunch of independent accuracy checks. Claws roll consecutive accuracy checks, which means that, I don't want to get too crunchy with the math, but basically, like, if you're hitting 50% of the time and you roll 3 times, that compounds into basically like you having 87.5% accuracy. And with a Sea Hally, if you have 50% accuracy, you just have 50% accuracy. So yeah, I would expect them to be quite a lot more reliable. It's definitely better against high defense enemies. Yeah, that's the answer.
Thanks for clarifying. Right. Will tormented demons be assignable for Slayer tasks?
I think they are just greater demons. So if you have a greater demon task, you'll be able to pick between Krill and tormented demons.
Awesome. Could you see a use for Ancient Shards to charge the Ash Sanctifier?
Seems reasonable. What do you think, Karen?
What do you charge it with currently?
Death runes.
I wouldn't necessarily like to change it then. Death runes aren't exactly hard to come by.
Yeah, but like in
honestly,
addition to?
I prefer just the idea. Like, yeah, you would probably do it in addition to, but I feel like I just prefer just making them a 1,000 prayer XP or something.
Yeah.
It's just simple though.
Makes sense.
Cool. I'm skipping the next one because we just answered it. Would we consider making Firelight a faster tick weapon?
No. If you've seen 3 tick weapons are crazy. No. So do too much damage, way too much damage.
Cool. I think we answered the next one as well. We talked about Firelight potentially being a light weapon source or something at Wintertod, but that was kind of...
Oh my god!
I'm not sure how serious.
That's what we probably do want to do that. We probably do want to make it warm clothing, because fire battle staffs are, so...
Okay, well, there we go. So Firelight will probably be a warm clothing source. Thank you, chatter, who asked that question. We talked about the Barbarian Firemaking. Will fire arrows do extra damage with the Scorching Bow?
No, don't think so. Is
Nope.
anyone using fire
Nope.
arrows? Can you actually fire them at enemies? I thought they were just a quest item. I've
Nobody
genuinely
can
no
fire them.
idea.
I don't know what stats they've
Yeah.
got. Nobody wants to have to make loads of those. Let me tell you that right now.
Okay, well, that is the end of the chat questions that we've got collected. I'm really sorry. I am very naive with the questions that some people ask. So, yeah, it's very easy to troll me with your chat questions, guys. Thank you so much, Rice and Kieran, for joining us on today's Q&A to talk about While Guthix Sleeps rewards. I personally love everything that we propose in the blog. The poll should be going live next week, so you'll get your chance to have your say on them. And yeah, just thank you for joining us, guys. Do you have anything you wanted to say to chat before we round off?
Enjoy Project Rebalance.
Yeah, I hope
Sweet.
everyone is liking the rebalance. It seems to have gone down really quite well, I think. Quite happy with it. I think it's good changes for the future. The only other thing I wanted to touch on was the prayers. It might be worth touching on the god alignment stuff. Some people have been asking in the chat throughout, like, what's happening with god alignments and so on and so on. Ultimately, we're not in the middle of talking about them right now. Obviously, we're planning to launch While Guthix Sleeps in the way we are with the rewards that have been proposed, and currently god alignments are sort of just on hold after the last blog stage we went through with them. Feedback was pretty mixed. People had various legitimate issues with what we had pitched, and we think there's changes we can potentially make. We think there's complexities. It's not in the bin, but it really needs its own time to thrive and sort of be communicated. It's that level of complexity, and similar to when we were talking about the prayers for Desert Treasure 2, we just think these are a big change potentially, and we need them to be right. And so rushing them out, trying to squeeze them into While Guthix Sleeps, not something to take lightly. I think they could be more game-changing than stuff like a new skill even. I don't think we want to rush them. They need their own space. So until we get that space, we probably aren't going to be talking about them just yet.
And I think as well they'll benefit from the time. Like, I think everyone's sort of like cooking them at the back of their heads, but it's less of a like stir-fry cook where you like cook it up really quick and it's delicious. It's more like a chili con carne type cook where it's like just leave it there for a really long time and eventually it's like spot on. So yeah, just got to be patient with these things.
Thank you so much for clarifying. Absolutely love that metaphor. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us, both of you. I'm going to round off quickly by going through the announcements. So, ! Game Update will take you to our latest game update news post. It is the much anticipated combat rebalance changes. ! WGS will take you to the blog about the new rewards that we are proposing. The poll should go live sometime next week. Check that out to see what's changed. ! Survey will take you to the survey on While Guthix Sleeps. Make sure to fill that out so your voice is heard before the poll goes live. ! Sailing, latest sailing update. We talked about navigation progress and just general progress. And then ! Discord. We're actually running a Discord stage in the sailing Discord server tomorrow. It will be a Q&A, very chill, with Mod Husky and some other JMods. So thank you all for your time. Really, really appreciate you guys engaging with us in chat, all your questions. And we hope to see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.
All right. Oh. We're raiding Mahjarrat. Stick around.
I didn't hear him.